So I know that a lot of the people who follow me are plant geeks or gardeners, and so I want to start this video with an analogy. When you grow plants for food or for medicine, the most important way you can take care of them and keep them healthy so that they're resilient in the face of not enough water, too much water, not enough sun, too much sun, pests, diseases, all of that. The number one thing you do to keep them healthy, to keep the plants healthy, is you feed the soil. If a plant has all of the things that it needs, then it can bounce back and be resilient in the face of whatever stressors come at it. So when in doubt, we always feed the soil. And when I started as a student in naturopathic medicine, one of the very first days, they introduced a concept that it's not unique to naturopathic medicine, but it's specifically espoused in naturopathic medicine, which is the concept of terrain. So the idea is exactly the same thing that you would do for plants in the garden, you want to do for a human body. You want the soil to be right. You want the nutrients to be right. You want the hydration and all of those things to be right. And then the human system can be resilient, just like a plant can be resilient if the soil is correct. So what I want to talk about in this first video is about this concept of terrain and how we can keep our terrain strong so that if we are exposed to a virus, we have a better chance of fighting it off with no symptoms or having minimal symptoms. So there are a couple of things that are really standard protocols for building terrain. One of the first is moving your body. Literally moving your body helps move blood through your system, helps move the white blood cells, which are your immune cells, through the system so they can look out for whatever kind of invader you might have been exposed to. So moving the body around helps improve immunity, partially by increasing surveillance of white blood cells, also by moving oxygen through, moving wastes out, moving nutrients through, wastes out. So the body is meant to move, so it's really important that we move. Another way that we get at a similar thing and also build vitality is with hydrotherapy. Now, a friend of mine a couple of years ago heard me say that, and she thought I was talking about colonics. I am not talking about colonics. What I'm talking about is some variation of the very traditional human idea of going from hot to cold and hot again and cold again. So the traditional thing would be to be in a sauna or a sweat lodge and then go into a cold plunge and then go back and forth. Most people I know don't have a sauna or sweat lodge or similar kind of thing in their homes, but we can mimic that with hot and cold running water in our showers. So getting into a shower, getting nice and hot, and then turning it down to cold just for 30 seconds, a little more if you can manage it, then back to hot for a few minutes, and then to cold. And what that does is it pushes the blood through the body, pushes the white blood cells through the body so they can look for invaders, they can remove wastes, they can put nutrients in, put oxygen into the system, just have everything go well. Now, some of the pushback that I gave when people told me to do hydrotherapy and that I get from my patients when I recommend it is they think that the cold part has to be super, super cold. It doesn't. It just has to be cold enough that there's a contrast. And over time, you can build up. And over time, when you do build up, the cold actually feels really good. And you get out of the shower, because you end on cold, you get out of the shower and you feel all tingly. And I swear this happens. It might not happen for a while if you aren't used to it and you're not doing very cold in your shower. But alternating hot and cold is a really great thing to do. It is safe for almost everybody, and it's easy and it's accessible. Another thing that really helps support the immune system that y'all have heard me talk about many times now is getting out in nature, especially if you can get into woods at all. The trees give off compounds called phytoncides, which help support our immune systems. And this is also very well documented. So if you are well and you can get out to the woods, spending time in nature will also improve your immunity. Similarly, if you are in a place where you can get sun on your skin in the winter, that is really helpful. And that works in two ways. First is vitamin D if you live in a place where you can actually make vitamin D in the depths of winter, which you can't in the places that I live. But also sunlight itself, aside from helping our bodies make vitamin D, does promote immunity, as well as improving mood and all of those things. So sunshine is your friend. Then in terms of maintaining the terrain, I talked about how you feed the soil. We also feed ourselves, and the food choices we make can also make a difference in our immunity. So this is a time, if you're concerned about getting the flu or COVID-19 or anything similar, or a cold, anything like that, if you're exposed to a lot of people, if you're just concerned for other reasons, and who wants to get sick if they can avoid it, really? When you are at most risk is the time to be most diligent about what you're eating. So what I'm talking about here are whole foods, lots of vegetables. We all know basically how we're supposed to eat: whole foods, lots of vegetables, things that you can recognize. Eating simply, eating cleanly reduces stress on our system so that if there are external stresses, we haven't used up all of our ability to flex on trying to digest foods that are hard on us. We have more resilience for the things that are coming at us externally. So if you know that you have food sensitivities, this is a time to not eat them. This is a time to just be as clean as you can so that you are lowering stress on your system. Another kind of food that is really good to add is anything that's fermented. Fermented foods, and here I'm talking about things like sauerkraut or kimchi, or true fermented pickles, or truly fermented pickled vegetables of any kind. There are a couple of ways that this supports our system. First of all, they tend to be high in vitamin C, and vitamin C, as we all know, is really important for supporting our immune system. But also, and this is why I emphasize that they be truly fermented, not just pickles where you add apple cider vinegar or some kind of vinegar. The bacteria that are fermenting foods, lacto-fermenting foods, creates bacteria that support our immune system. So we talk about promoting gut health and the microbiome and having the right combination and the diverse combination of flora in our digestive tracts. And one of the ways you can support that is with fermented foods. So this is cheap and easy. You can do it at home. There are lots of resources. I can put some links to some of my favorite books on fermenting in the comments below. Check those out. Super easy to do. You can look it up on the internet. Easy, fast, cheap. You just need vegetables, water, and salt. And then the final thing that I want to say in terms of supporting terrain, especially when it comes to things that we're eating or not eating, is to really, this is a good time to avoid sugar. Sugar stuns the immune system, and you don't want to do that at a time when you want your immune system to be working better than ever. So this is really most of your sweets that aren't whole foods. And it also includes alcohol. So just be vigilant, be aware that these are things that can lower your immunity. And if you're feeling safe and you want to have some sugar, you want to have some alcohol, and those things are generally okay for you, that's one thing. But if you're going into a situation where you're going to be exposed and you're concerned about that, or you've been exposed and you want to maximize your immune system, it's really better to avoid sugar and to avoid alcohol. So those are a few ideas about supporting basic immunity with day-to-day actions, and I hope you find this helpful, and I hope that you stay well this winter.